Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. In this video we'll be using Mono JOHTO Pokemon. Let's get into it. These games are in the OU tier before the recent balance changes. A lot of these Pokemon are no longer in the OU tier, but we were still able to get in some good games. But enough introduction, let's get into the battle. We exchange some hazards and he switches his Rabombi into the Gliscor, who activates the Toxic Orb, and then immediately switches into the Goldango, who gets hit by those rocks but is floating on his balloon. I switch into my Meganium, get caught in the webs. He starts thinking those nasty thoughts right in front of Meganium, who then sets up the light screen. I then switch into my Raikou, get caught in those webs but start getting that pressure going. He goes for the nasty plot again, gets another boost, goes for the Make It Rain. Raikou tanks that no problem with the light screen. I'm then able to retaliate with a Shadow Ball, do that big damage, get rid of his balloon, but he just hangs on. He goes for a Shadow Ball of his own, takes out the Raikou. I then go to my other legendary beast, the Suicune, again get caught in the webs, get the pressure going. He goes for the Shadow Ball, I tank that no problem. Go for the Scald, take out the Goldango. He then switches back into the Gliscor, takes a little bit from the rocks, and then immediately switches into the Rabombi, who takes rocks damage and the spikes. I fire up the Ice Beam, he just hangs on. I switch back into the Meganium, get caught in those webs. He goes for the Stun Spore, I eat that up no problem. Then fires off the Moonblast, again tank it no issue. Set up the Leech Seed, starts sapping away that health. He then goes for that skill swap, I get the Shield Dust ability, decide to set up a Reflect as I let the Leech Seed finally take out the Rabombi. We then get the ultimate showdown between the two grass starters over here. He goes for the Glare, paralyzes my Meganium. I decide to set up a light screen. Being a more supportive set, I can't do too much, so I switch to Skarmory. He predicts the switch and goes for that Substitute, gets that Beanbag up. He then goes for the Terra Stellar, Terra Blast. Skarmory eats that up no problem, but he gets those boosts over there. I go for the Brave Bird, break the sub. We both get some lefties back. He fires off another Terra Blast, this one's boosted, but Skarmory does not care. I go for the Brave Bird, take out the Superior. Skarmory is still such a reliable tank. My opponent then forfeits. Good game. Alrighty, let's get into the next game. I lead with the Skarmory again, they go with the Altaria. On the first turn, he sets up that Sunny Day as I go for the Stealth Rock. With the Sun, he then immediately switches into the Chandelure, who takes some damage. I decide to set up some spikes. Expecting that big fire damage, I then switch into the Suicune, get the pressure going. He goes for the Terra Fire Heat Wave, doing that big damage even with the resist. He's then able to outspeed, go for another Heat Wave, take out my Suicune. I then switch into my Raikou, get that pressure rolling. Able to outspeed, go for the T-Bolt, take out the Chandelure. The sunlight finally goes away, and then he switches into the Flygon, takes a little bit from the rocks. I'm specs locked into the T-Bolt, so I decide to switch into the Skarmory, avoiding the Earth Power. Unfortunately for me, he has the coverage Fire Blast, but Skarmory is able to tank that. I decide to get up another layer of spikes. He goes for another Fire Blast, thankfully completely misses me. I go for the Brave Bird, do a little bit of damage to him. He then goes for the third Fire Blast, connects this one, takes out the Skarmory. My next Pokemon is in the Gramble, who's rocking that Assault Vest. Get the Intimidate going. He goes for the U-turn, does absolutely nothing. He uses that to pivot into the Milotic, who takes that big hazard damage. I go for the Play Rough, he just hangs on, gets that Flame Orb going. He fires off the Hydro Pump, Gramble tanks that no problem. Go for the 100% Earthquake, take him out. His next Pokemon is in the Electivire, who takes all that hazard damage again. I decide to switch into my Hitmontop, get the Intimidate going. He goes for the Thunder Punch, I tank that no problem. Get a little bit back from my lefties. He then switches back into the Superior. I was planning to go for another Intimidate here, so I switch into the Gramble. Unfortunately, I give him that attack boost. He uses the Protect to try to scout me out. I go for the Play Rough, do absolutely nothing. He then fires off the Leaf Storm. Gramble just hangs on, he gets that big attack boost. I go for the Play Rough, take out the Superior. The next Pokemon is in the Altaria, takes damage from those rocks. I decide to switch into my Hitmontop, get that Intimidate going. He goes for the Protect, does absolutely nothing. We both get some lefties back, and then I decide to switch into the Meganium. He goes for the Alluring Voice, does absolutely nothing. He goes for another Protect, trying to scout me out. I go for the Leech Seed, which is completely pointless. Altaria then sets up another Sunny Day. I finally connect with the Leech Seed this time, and start sapping away at the health. He then switches into the Flygon, which Meganium doesn't mind as I set up the Reflect. Unfortunately, he still has that Fire Blast and connects, doing that big damage. I go for the Leech Seed, start sapping away that health again. He goes for another Fire Blast. This one misses, allowing me to set up the light screen and keep getting that health back from the Leech Seed. I use this chance to then switch into the Raikou, get the pressure going. He goes for the Fire Blast, does absolutely nothing. I'm then able to outspeed, go for the Shadow Ball, take out the Flygon. He goes into the Altaria, and then immediately switches into the Electivire, taking damage from all those rocks. I just have to stay in, fire for another Shadow Ball, take out the Electivire. His last Pokemon is in the Altaria. I'm able to outspeed, go for the Shadow Ball, he just hangs on, I get that special defense lower. He goes for the Will-O-Wisp, gives me the burn. My opponent then tries to stall me out with the Protect, but it doesn't matter, Raikou's got this game in the bag. I keep firing off some Shadow Balls, he keeps going for the Protect. Eventually we get the W and a good game. I hope you guys are enjoying this series. We'll have a Home Run releasing next Friday. And that's the video. Please know what you guys think down below and stay tuned for future content. Peace!